Reviews. Very often we rely on them to make a lot of decisions in our lives on daily basis, I guess. All of us, we do that, right? It has been a few weeks. I'm thinking about buying a new phone, the iPhone mini, not the latest one, so expensive. So I've been looking at some customer reviews on that kind of iPhone, and I have seen this person who gave it just only 1 star, saying, okay, I got curious, what's going on here, why he gave it only 1 star? Well, it turns out he got super disappointed because he ordered the phone, but it never been delivered to him. Apparently, the delivery guy has stolen it. Another example, and I think all of us, we do the same thing. When we would like to go to the cinema, watch a movie, pick a movie to watch, we look at some reviews, what people say about that movie. Shall we go to watch it or not? So there is this guy, he said, okay, I'm gonna give this movie only 1 star, and here's the reason. During the whole duration of the movie, my eyes were hurting. And I was sure that there's enough distance between the TV and my eyes, but still. A few days later, turns out that he has kind of inflammation, pinky eyes. Great. Another example, when you want to pick a restaurant, pizzeria or any kind of restaurant. So I was looking for a pizzeria, and I saw that it has really low review. And I got curious to see why. And one of the customers says, well, I got super disappointed because I ordered a pizza and I got half a pizza. A few days later, the owner of the restaurant replies, sir, you ordered a calzone and it's served in a folded way, so it's not half a pizza. So as you can see here, those different kind of reviews, but all of them are useless. And they are really irrelevant to the service and the product we are asking for or we are ordering, right? So they are completely useless. I guess similarly on computer science, we might have different kind of reviews. So this is a piece of code written in Python regarding in the programming language. And the reviewer, so the function is converting a list to a string. And the author submitted his code to a reviewer, asking his opinion, and the reviewer put his comment as following. Seriously, what's this? And why are you using the join function? This code is not gonna work. Full stop, end of the story. As you can see from this kind of review, actually it's harsh, why, and disrespectful. The reviewer wrote all his comment in capital letters and with shortcut. Seriously, what's that? And it's not constructive because me, if I get this kind of review, like, I don't understand what the reviewer has in mind. What he's talking about, what's this, what he's referring to. And then when he is complaining about using the join function, he doesn't provide any explanation, any reasoning about what's the problem with using this function, and he doesn't recommend a solution for that. So this kind of review is harsh, disrespectful, and it's unclear, doesn't provide any guidance to that author. Another example, and I guess probably many of you face this use case. Okay, there is a debate between for loop, while loop. Regardless the impact of each of them and the usage of each of them based on the programming language. Here it's in Python, and the reviewer, what he's saying, well, why you are using the while loop, the for loop? You can, instead of using the while loop, you can use the for loop and you can put it in one line. Wow, super cool. What he's doing here, and that's it, without saying what's the difference between them and what's the impact. What he's giving here actually only his opinion, his taste, the way he would like to write this code. He prefers for over while. So this kind of review, when we receive it, it's really waste of people's time because you are just reflecting your own taste, okay, as a reviewer. Hi everyone, my name is Maha. I am an engineering manager at Elastic. I'm leading a team, the release engineering team. We are providing framework guidance to the other product teams at Elastic to help them to produce releasable artifacts. I also have a PhD in optimizing performance of multitude distributed system deployed in private cloud. And today, I'm gonna talk to you about how to review someone else's code while not being a jerk. How can we conduct useful, respectful code review? I'm gonna start by this question. So, has any of you ever been bullied by a jerk reviewer? Oh yes. Oh, I see few hands. All right. Let me ask the question on the other side. Any of you has been a jerk reviewer? Okay, okay. So hopefully with this talk, we will try to find really the balance. How can we give nice and respectful review and efficient? That's the whole goal, to give really sufficient and useful review. So and I'm referring us as a developer or people who submit code asking review, we receive really kind of comments on our codes. There are many words which come to our minds, like, what now? What do you want? Why you are so picky? Why you don't do it yourself? Leave me alone. So brutal. And sometimes, okay, this is the last pull request I'm gonna open. I'm gonna quit computer science just because of this kind of harsh reviews. Well, I'm here to tell you how can we avoid all this drama. How can we really give a useful code review? Before answering this question, we need actually to understand and answer three main questions. Why and what and how? The first question is why. Why we are doing code review? I believe that many developers think, oh, come on, as long as my code is working and it's running perfectly, so why do I need to ask people their feedback? Why I don't merge with the main branch and we move on? Well, that's not true, because there are many reasons that we do code review. First of all, we are asking for feedback to really improve the quality of our code and the overall quality of our software. We would like to share knowledge. When I'm submitting my code to asking people to review it, I'm sharing with them the way I implement this functionality, and asking for their feedback on this functionality. Probably they don't know it before, so we are learning from each other. We might participate in putting design for some algorithm. So remember that the main goal from code review is really to increase the quality of our code, sharing knowledge, learning from each other. So this is the first question. The second question is what? This is really very important question. So me as a reviewer, what I'm looking for, what I'm looking at when I do code review, what I should look at basically. And here's a story. So in one of my previous jobs, when I first joined the company, my manager asked me, hey, Maha, why you don't review this code? So I asked him what I'm supposed to look at exactly. He answered back, make sure it's fine, whatever that means. So me personally, what I did, so I conducted code review, but it was based on my personal experience. So I started looking, okay, there is a unit test provided. Does the new code is passing all the tests, and the code also doesn't break any existing test? Is there any documentation is provided? There is no duplication in the code. Does the code follow the naming convention in that programming language, and so on? So what I have done here, it's really my pure personal opinion based on my experience. But this is a very important question, and we should all agree on how to, what to look at when we do code review. And then I decided to come up with what we call the code review checklist. So this is a checklist. What I would like to insist, based on my experience, there is no, of course, checklist one-fits-all checklist. So each team can customize this checklist, adapt it based on the team, the project, the size of the team, and so on. There are different factors. But what I can say that in this checklist, what we can make sure that there is unit tests provided and the new code is passing all the tests and doesn't break any of existing tests. There is documentation. The new code doesn't introduce any vulnerabilities. The new code is aligned with the formatting and the style of the overall project, and so on. So this list can go longer. Keep in mind, there are some of these items can be automated. And here I want to insist that if they are automated, like there are tools that they can help us to automate those items. For example, if I want, instead me as a reviewer wasting my time looking at the formatting, the naming convention, there are the linters, they help me, and I can just run those, inject those linters in my pipeline, and they run automatically. So me as a reviewer, I will not say, okay, you are not following this naming convention, this programming language. For those vulnerabilities or code smell, there are tools like, for example, SonarQube. It does this code analysis for us, provides us with a report about the code smell, duplication in the code, vulnerability, so we can use them. So me, as a reviewer, then I will focus on things cannot be automated, meaning that I will focus looking at really the core of this implementation of this code and trying to make sure that the code does what it's supposed to do. It meets the standards, all right? So thanks for those tools. So we answered the first two questions. Then the last question, so we know why we are doing code review and what we are supposed to look at. Now, how can we conduct this useful code review? So here are some tips. So first, me as a reviewer, I should start by getting the big picture of this pull request or of this submitted code, trying to understand what are you trying to do, what you are trying to tell me from this code. And thanks to the author, when they provide description what they are trying to do, this will help you to understand and get the big picture. Of course, sometimes there will be some clarity in this submitted code, and then me as a reviewer, I should not hesitate to ask a question clarifying the ambiguity. All right. As a reviewer, it's recommended to answer in timely fashion way. I get submitted code to review. I will not keep the author waiting 3 months to get my answer back, right? And I should keep my review concise and short. The last item, but not least, which I like it very much, don't feel obliged to find issues or like you want to comment bad things about the review. It's fine sometimes to say, it's okay, it's all good. And I think we see always in GitHub and GitLab, LGTM, looks good to me, so it's fine, go. So I really like this rule, so it's fine if you say that. So let's dig more deeply on how to conduct useful and respectful review. As a reviewer, don't criticize the person, don't make it about the person. So make it always about the code, finding issue in that code and giving really guidance how to solve those issues in that code. Don't use harsh language. This is very important. Be respectful. And there is a study, empirical study has been done by Microsoft in 2015. This study shows that the very negative comments were considered useful only 57% of the time, while the more neutral comments were considered useful around 80% of the time. So be respectful and don't be harsh. And instead, you should always assume competence. We are a team, and you should provide concise, constructive, and clear review and feedback to the person to know what he's supposed to do. Let's have an example on how can we use all those rules to write really useful and respectful review. So here's the reviewer saying, why are you using this approach? You are adding unnecessarily complexity. And instead of writing it in this way, it should be written differently. This concurrency model appears to be adding complexity to the system while without any visible performance benefit. The difference between those two comments, two reviews, the first one in red, you are criticizing the person. You are using this approach, you are adding complexity, while in the other one, what you are referring to, what you are criticizing is the code itself, the concurrency model. This is adding complexity to the code. All right? Sorry, I think the color is not really great, right? You don't see very well, or it's okay? Yeah. Okay, another example. As a reviewer, you should not say, I don't understand this, and full stop. Imagine that you receive this kind of comments. It happened to me. I guess it happened to all of you probably. So instead of saying that, so there is ambiguity apparently, okay, in this submitted code. So you should say, okay, if this is an optimization, can you please add comments? So asking for really description, comments, provide me with more context. So me as a reviewer, don't hesitate to ask explicitly if the author didn't provide that. Give me context to know what you are trying to do here. I'm coming back to the first example I showed you at the beginning of this talk. So as I said, this is in Python and converting a list to string. So we saw it that the reviewer was super harsh, using capital letter, and he's not constructive, he's not providing any reasoning or guidance to the author. So instead of writing in this way, what we can do is, okay, I have a problem with the naming convention, assuming that we don't have the limiters. So I'm going to tell the author, okay, instead of using those variables name, you should use meaningful names. The second str1, this variable, actually it's written capital letter and should be small letter because this is the naming convention and Python works in that way. And okay, regarding the join function, so here I'm providing guidance. The join function is not going to work if you have an input where you have both integer and strings as items. So you need to convert each item to a string. So in this way, what I did, I specify for each item where there is a problem, what's the problem, and I provide a solution. And if you notice that I form my suggestion in a question way. So instead of giving it as an order, why don't you use it that way? Why you don't rename this variable with the other name, and so on. So this is respectful and useful. And as an author, I will understand what's the problem in my code. I will try to solve it. All right. So I reached the end of my talk. So it's soft TikTok. And here are the main items. So remember that always our goal from the code review is really to increase the quality of our code and the overall quality of our project, our software. We are a reviewer, we are a human, but we need to be, when we give feedback, this is not only in code, applies in different places. We should be constructive, and we should not use harsh language, should be respectful. And why is that? Because respectful review will lead to useful reviews and efficient ones. Well, here's the list of references I have used to prepare this talk, and you can find my slides in slides.com/myname. And thank you so much. I hope that you will change your mind about not writing harsh review. And for those who struggle with jerk reviewers, probably they can share the slides with them. So thank you so much. I hope that you will transfer this to your team. And thank you again. If you have any question, I guess we have like a couple of minutes. Comments, feedback, discussion, sharing experience, probably. No one? I don't have t-shirt, sorry. I don't have t-shirt. I have one sticker from Elastic. Don't have to shout. All right, thank you so much, everyone. We have another talk at 10 past 2. It's about mutation testing. I will be giving this talk in the other auditorium, the one we had this morning, the keynote. So there will be a co-speaker with me, Olivier from AWS, and we're going to present 3 demos based on the time we have. So one will be Python, one in Java, one in JavaScript. So it depends on your interest. So don't miss that talk. It's very interesting. Thank you again.